In a move that no one in Westminster fully anticipated, British politics has been thrown into unprecedented chaos as multiple Labour MPs defected to Reform UK, setting off an earthquake that could shatter the two-party system that has dominated Britain for generations. What began as quiet, uneasy whispers in the corridors of Parliament has erupted into a full-blown rebellion, with stunned reporters and party loyalists struggling to grasp the scale of what just happened. For months, discontent had been simmering inside Labour. Grumblings about Keir Starmer's cautious leadership, frustration over the party's drift away from its working-class roots, and the feeling that Labour had lost the courage to stand for something clear. But few believed that these complaints would explode into a dramatic exodus of sitting MPs crossing the floor in public defiance. As stunned cameras tracked every movement, the defecting MPs gathered outside Parliament to deliver statements that were nothing short of a political declaration of war. One veteran MP, her voice shaking but resolute, accused Labour's leadership of betraying its principles and abandoning communities already battered by economic decline and social division. Another, glaring directly into the camera, said he could no longer pretend that Labour speaks for ordinary people. Their words resonated across social media, instantly sparking a tidal wave of debate and disbelief. Inside Labour headquarters, panic has set in like a spreading fire. Advisors are frantically trying to contain the damage, but behind closed doors, senior figures are openly wondering if this is the beginning of the end for Starmer's leadership, or even the Labour Party as it has existed for decades. Meanwhile, Reform UK has seized this explosive moment with almost surgical precision. Under Richard Tice's steady hand and Nigel Farage's relentless behind-the-scenes influence, Reform UK has been rebranding itself as a credible alternative to what many see as an exhausted political establishment. Their messaging, simple, bold, unapologetic, focuses on national sovereignty, strict immigration controls, and economic self-reliance. For years, these positions were dismissed by many in Westminster as fringe talking points, but today they are winning converts not just among voters, but inside Parliament itself. Reform UK's leaders stood in front of a crush of cameras and microphones, portraying the defections not as opportunism, but as acts of political conscience. And as hashtags like Labour Collapse and Reform UK Rise trended furiously online, even lifelong Labour supporters began asking hard questions about whether the party they trusted for generations had simply run out of ideas. While Labour's crisis is intensifying by the hour, the Conservatives are hardly celebrating. They too see danger in Reform UK's surge. Tory strategists have already admitted privately that Reform's populist message could peel away thousands of traditional Conservative voters, disillusioned by years of economic stagnation, high-profile scandals and broken promises. For the first time in living memory, the old certainties about Britain's political loyalties are dissolving. The electoral map that was once predictable has become a patchwork of volatility, where coalitions are fragile and voter allegiance can evaporate overnight. Starmer's attempts to calm the turmoil have only added to the sense of drift. In brief public remarks, he insisted Labour would emerge stronger and called on his MPs to show unity. But the hollow confidence in his voice and the tension etched across his face told a more honest story. Starmer is a leader on the edge, fighting to keep control of a party slipping through his hands. Even sympathetic commentators are questioning whether he has the authority or the instinct to navigate Labour out of this labyrinth. Across Britain, people are watching these developments with a mix of fascination and unease. In working-class towns, long considered Labour's backbone, voters are saying out loud what they once only whispered, that the party no longer feels like theirs. In urban centres, Labour's attempts to straddle progressive priorities and traditional values are falling flat. Reform UK, in contrast, is offering something that feels both disruptive and direct, promising to tear up the old rulebook and rebuild politics from the ground up. Whether you agree with them or not, their message is clear, and clarity has become a rare and precious currency in a time when most politicians hide behind carefully polished slogans. Inside Labour, the crisis has exposed something deeper, a collapse of trust, not just between MPs and their leader, but between the party and its own identity. Some insiders describe an atmosphere of despair, with staff unsure whether to prepare for more defections or a leadership coup. Starmer's inner circle is being forced to consider moves that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago, including a full policy reset and the possibility of reshaping the leadership team to stop the bleeding. But the clock is ticking, and every hour without a decisive response strengthens Reform UK's claim to be the authentic voice of a nation fed up with political paralysis. For the Conservatives, the threat is just as real. Reform UK isn't simply splitting Labour's vote, it's coming for theirs too. And while Tory leaders are publicly dismissive, in private they are already mapping out emergency strategies to defend their seats in places like the Midlands and the North, where Reform's blunt appeals to national pride and economic fairness are landing with force. This is no longer business as usual. Britain is now in uncharted territory, where the old red versus blue divisions are fracturing into something new, something raw, something unpredictable. The next general election is no longer just a contest between Labour and the Conservatives. It is a test of whether the British electorate is finally ready to discard the parties that have dominated their lives for generations. Reform UK has cracked open the door to a new era, but whether it can step fully through remains to be seen. Their momentum is undeniable, but they still must prove that passion and outrage can be turned into sustainable power. Meanwhile, Labour faces a stark choice: adapt or face irrelevance. And the Conservatives must defend their ground without looking desperate or cynical. One thing is clear: the political future of Britain is hanging by a thread. In living rooms, pubs, and workplaces across the country, voters are waking up to the realisation that everything they thought about politics may soon be obsolete. No one knows what happens next, but one truth has emerged from this extraordinary moment: the old order is breaking, and whatever comes after will define Britain for a generation.